the depth of the league week to week. You know, it just changes. You know, you just take South Carolina. You know, everybody says, oh, they're in good shape, and they go to Georgia and lose 2 out of 3, and now you know, is it?
It's awesome.
How difficult? I mean, what is it? Is it awesome? Is it hard?
Yeah,
I mean,
no, it's how you want to look at the cup. You know, I think it's awesome because this is why I say the Southeastern Conference in baseball is like the major leagues of college baseball. Look at the teams that win in the major leagues. They lose at least 60 games a year. They win. Everybody wins at least 60 games a year. It's what you do in the other 60 games. And no, that's not right. Third, let's say that didn't add. That didn't add right, did it?
The Braves aren't winning 60 games.
That didn't add up right. The
no, it's
a third. You know what I'm saying? They're going to win it. Everybody's going to win a third. Everybody's going to lose a third. The other third is going to determine what kind of season you had. And the SEC's that way as well. Anybody is capable of beating anybody. But it's not even just the SEC. It's baseball is like that. Like all the cynics out there, when we put our non-conference schedule together, nationally, maybe even here locally, oh, look at this non-conference schedule. Cincinnati comes in and we sweep Cincinnati, right? Oh, they're terrible. Look at Cincinnati now. They just beat Tulane 2 out of 3. You know, they won like 11 in a row at one point. Ball State's, you know, doing great. Sacramento State's doing great. All the non-conference midweek games, the teams are doing well. I did a national interview the other day on Sirius Radio with Mike Rooney, who I know well from my days at Notre Dame. And Mike even admitted it on national radio. He says, well, I was one of those that looked at your non-conference schedule. I guess we all pretty much underrated it. What's our strength of schedule?
21.
No.
Is it?
I want to say it's 11. Maybe
I
it's 8.
I think your non-conference.
Oh, non-conference.
I think your non-conference is 21.
Yeah.
It's either 21 or 18.
But overall, the conference, the strength of schedule is really high. Non-conference, even if it's 30, I mean, that's still pretty good schedule. And anybody can beat anybody in this sport on a given day, and particularly in this conference. You know, okay, so we handled Missouri pretty well this weekend. Chandler was there, and you'd say, oh, wow, we were so much better than Missouri. Missouri should have won 2 of the 3 games against Vanderbilt. Could arguably say that, couldn't you? They had a 3-run lead in the 9th inning in the first game, if I'm not mistaken. Vanderbilt tied the game and then won in extra innings. Another game they lost, Tanner Houck threw 9 shutout innings with 14 strikeouts, and Vanderbilt won in extra innings. When they opened up down at Florida, I remember watching one game where the game was tied in the 9th inning. The other 2 games, I believe, were nip and tuck. This Missouri team's a good team. They very easily could have beaten Florida and Vanderbilt. They won 2 out of 3 at Arkansas. I mean, I can tell you don't do that unless you've got a good team. So it's just from week to week. Look at Mississippi State. You got to give them credit. They go to Vanderbilt and they go to Florida and win 2 out of 3. Texas A&M goes to Florida, gets swept, but yet Texas A&M goes to Mississippi State and sweeps a series fairly handily. Who can explain that? Just think on any given day, anybody's capable of rising up, and the teams that can be the most consistent will eventually emerge. And that's why. But the other point to be made, Brian, is that you can't ever get down on yourselves. I mean, everybody wants to jump off the bandwagon, you know, as soon as you lose a game or lose a series, whatever. But fortunately, the players aren't like that. Fortunately, the coaches aren't like that, because you just know you're 1 weekend away from turning it around again. And look, we're at the midway point of a 30-game schedule, the exact midway point, and we're 9-6. But what people probably don't think about is 3 of our 5 series have been on the road, where theoretically it's harder to win on the road, and we're 9-6. Now, you know, I'm not sure it's a great advantage to be at home against Florida. You know, they're a very good team, but 3 of our final 5 series are at home. And, you know, we've got our head above water. Who knows what's going to happen in the last 15 games, but Bill, do you know what our record was at the 15-game point last year?
Check real quick.
I didn't look it up. I meant to look it up this morning. One of the coaches on the bus said that we were 8-4 after 12 games. I don't really remember what might have been, but
We were 11-5. I'm sorry, 10-5.
10-5. So we were one game better last year than we are this year at the midway point, and we were the SEC champions last year, correct? Hey, South Carolina still has to play. Who do they still have to play?
Florida, I think.
Florida, Texas A&M.
They play in.
Yeah.
Florida and Vandy have to play.
Texas A&M still has to play. Vandy and Ole Miss.
Florida and Vandy have to play.
Florida and Vandy have to play. I mean, somebody has to win those games and somebody has to lose those games. And so this is why you just can't flip it into panic mode every time you lose a game or lose a series. You just got to keep playing. And we went out there this weekend. I thought we played about as well as we possibly can in a combination of all phases, pitching, defense, and hitting. People don't realize we didn't make a single error in 27 innings. We had 3 good starting pitching performances, and our bullpen didn't give up a run in 9 innings. And I don't know how many hits we had for the weekend, Bill. Do you know off the top of your head? 40? 40 hits in 3 games against arguably 2 of the better starting pitchers in our conference. So, it all came together this weekend. We played as well as we could, and because of that, we had success and won all 3 games and put ourselves right back in the mix. And this can happen in this league, and that's why you just can't ever get down. So it's a good thing, Brian, in answer to your question, it's a good thing, but it can be a gut-wrenching thing as well, right? When you think you have it figured out, you can fall off the top of the world pretty quickly in this league.
Oh, to kind of piggyback off that, you've had 2 big weekends in the past 2 weekends, and you've kind of fallen flat in the midweek, come out kind of uninspired, if you will. Is that a product of being a young team? Is that something you have to re-stress to these guys that just because you had a good weekend, you can't lay down in the midweek?
Bill, what was our record in the midweek games prior to this year? 59-4 over the last 4 years, was that it was? So we've done a pretty good job with that. I think we had 2 years where we were undefeated. I think it's the only 2 times. 59-3 in the last 4 years?
Yes.
And I believe 2 of the 4 years we were undefeated. The first time we were undefeated was the first time in the history of LSU baseball we went undefeated in midweek games, and we did it again. So midweek games have always been a point of emphasis with me and with our staff and with our team. This year is no different. I think some of the midweek teams we've played have been much better than people expected that they would. You saw, we went to Lamar, lost a tough game. We had to lead in the 8th inning, and Lamar's 26-7 or something, right? We lose to McNeese. Now, I give all the credit in the world to McNeese. They played great, and they deserved to win. Obviously, we played as poorly as we could play. But then McNeese goes out and beats Lamar 2 out of 3 this weekend. So McNeese was no fluke. I'm not saying the game itself was no fluke, but they're not a fluky team. They're a good team. Tulane is playing great. So, hey, look, I told our players after the game on Sunday, I said, look, we've got 20 games left in the season, 15 of which are in the conference. That means there's 5 non-conference games. Show me a patsy. You got Southeastern Louisiana, who's 26-10 or something, all right? We go to Tulane. We got 2 with Notre Dame, who's playing great right now. And we got Northwestern State who can beat anybody. There's not a gimme there. So you got 5 tough conference games, non-conference games. And I think those non-conference games in the middle of the week end up having a lot to do with whether or not you become a regional host at the end of the year. I don't think we have a lot of margin for error left in those games. And I explained this to the players. And we practice hard and we prepare hard. Now, we're not going with one of our top 3 starting pitchers in the middle of the week, but neither are the other teams generally, okay? So you just gotta find a way to get it done. And, before, last Tuesday was the biggest baffling thing to me, because I'm telling you, we finished playing the series against Vanderbilt on Saturday. I gave them off on Sunday to relax. We came out Monday, I talked to the team about all the things I just talked to you about, and we had a very intense practice, a good practice. And then we go out there on Tuesday, and played so uninspired. So we might try a little different technique in getting ready for this game this week. Maybe practice on Tuesday won't quite be as intense. You know, maybe we'll take our Thursday night practices when we prepare for conference series are more like football walkthroughs than they are real intense practices. So maybe I should try that before the middle of the week game and see if it. I mean, we're at the point in the year now where you don't have to practice rundowns and pickoff plays and stuff like that. You know, maybe the time now is just to keep them mentally relaxed and see if that maybe helps a little bit on